Okay, now we're going to look at a few more examples of using sohcah to solve trigonometric problems. So here's our next example. You'll notice that we've got an angle here of 63 degrees, and you'll also notice that we know this side here is 19 metres, we'll say. It's 19 metres. Now the x, that's the side we want to find. So that's what we need to work out, and that's what the problem's about. How do we work out the length of x? Okay, so in order to do this, we need to follow some steps. Now the first step is to label the triangle. So that's always the first thing we have to do. Remember, the opposite side is always opposite the angle, so this is going to be our opposite. The hypotenuse is always the longest side, and also it's always the side that's opposite the right angle here. That's mainly recognised because it's the opposite, it's the longest side of the triangle. So this is our hypotenuse. And the side that's left over, that is our adjacent. So there we go. We've now labelled our triangle. The next step is to ask the question, what do we want to find out? So let's look at our triangle. What side is it that we want to find out? Well, clearly it's side H. So it's side H that we want to find out. The next step is to ask the second question, which is, what do we already know? So what side of this triangle do we already know? Well, if we look around, we can see that the side we already know is this side here, which is the adjacent. Okay. So we're trying to find the hypotenuse, and we already know the adjacent. So they're the key letters that tell us which of our magic triangles it is we need to use. So which of these has the letters A and H in them? Well, it's this one, CAH, the car. We grab our hand and cover up what we're trying to find out. So we want to put the finger over what we're trying to find out. We're trying to find the H. Now we're using this pyramid here, this triangle, so we cover up the H. There we go. So now we write our equation that we're going to use to solve it. So our equation is H, what we're covering up, H equals A over C, because the A is on top, the C is on the bottom, so it's going to be A over C. So it's the adjacent over the cos of the angle. So that will equal the adjacent. Well, where's our adjacent? Here it is here, and what's its value? Its value is 19. So it's going to be 19 divided by C. C stands for the cos of the angle. Now the angle in this case is 63 degrees. So that's going to be the cos of 63 degrees. So that's going to equal 19 over the cos of 63. And this is where we need to use our calculator. So the cos of 63 degrees, on your calculator, you should get 0.454. So 0.454. And if we now calculate that out, 19 divided by 0.454, and that equals 41.85. So 41.85 meters is the length of our hypotenuse. So that's this length. So there's our example. Okay, let's do another example. Righto, now let's go through the steps again. Remember, the first step is to label the triangle, so let's do that. find our angle. Where's our angle? There it is there. So the opposite side is going to be over here. So this is the opposite. The hypotenuse is the longest side. So this is the hypotenuse over here. And the side that's left over, that's the adjacent there. Okay, the next step, remember, is to ask the question, what do we want to find out? Okay, so looking at our triangle, we can see that the side we want to find out, which is x, is the hypotenuse. So we want to find out the hypotenuse. We want to find the value of the hypotenuse. The third question, or the next step, is what do we already know? Well, we already know the opposite. That's the side we're already given in this problem. So we write down O. So now we can use one of our pyramids, one of our sohcah pyramids to solve the problem. So we need to work out which one we use. Well, we look at our letters over here, the answers to our questions, and match those with the triangle over here. Which triangle or which pyramid has O and H in it? It's going to be this one. So we're going to use our sohcah pyramid. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll bring our finger back. And remember, we move our finger so it's covering up what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the hypotenuse. So let's put the finger over the hypotenuse. And now we write our equation. So H equals O over S, which is the opposite divided by the sine of the angle. So what's the opposite? The opposite is 41. So it's going to be 41 divided by S, which stands for the sine of the angle. So it's the sine of, let's look at our angle. Our angle is 85 degrees. So it's the sine of 85 degrees. So that will equal 41 divided by the sine of 85. So once again, we go for our calculator and we use our sine button to work out the sine of 85 degrees. And that equals 0.996. And so finally, we work that part out. So 41 divided by 0.996 equals 41.16. So that equals 41.16. And we're in meters, so this will be in meters again. So we've just worked out the length of this as 41.16 meters. Okay, we've got time for one more example. So we'll get rid of that. So our final example is example 4. Okay, so you go ahead and see if you can do this on your own and then run the video to see if you got it right. All right, the steps. Remember, the first step, always label our triangle. So by looking at our triangle, here's our angle. So this is going to be the opposite over here. The hypotenuse is always the longest side, so that's our hypotenuse. And the remaining side of our triangle is the adjacent. Okay, let's ask the question, what do we want to find out? Well, we want to find A. That's the unknown side we're trying to find. So the answer to that is A. The next question we ask is, what do we already know? Well, we already know the hypotenuse. There it is there. So the answer is H. Okay, so now we use these answers to these questions to work out which of these pyramids we use to solve the problem. Do we use the sohcah or the sohcah? Because we've got A and H, we need the pyramid which has A and H in it, and that is the sohcah pyramid. So this is the pyramid we're going to use. So we'll grab our hand again and remember, we cover up what we're trying to find. This time we're trying to find the adjacent. So I'm going to put the finger over the adjacent. There it is there. And now we write our equation to solve the problem. So starting with this time the A, so the adjacent equals, now this time it's C is next to the H, so we multiply them. So it's going to be the C times H. Well, what do they stand for? We know that C stands for the cos of the angle. So it's going to be the cos of 45 degrees in this case, multiplied by H, which is the hypotenuse, which is 25. So, once again, we use our calculator and we work out the cos of 45, and that equals 0.707. And we now need to multiply that by 25. And the answer is 17.68. So there's our answer. That is now the length of our adjacent. Okay, so I hope that those 4 examples or 3 examples are actually useful. You can now go on with the problems that have been set. Thank you.